Well, the internet just fucking imploded.
Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Oh, you know what time it is. Shield time! If you look down in the description, you'll see a link to a Patreon, a Rumble, and a Discord server. If you want to see the uncut versions of these videos, go ahead check out the Rumble. I cut these videos to fit YouTube's wonderful content policies, so if you'd like to see all the spicier jokes and things that YouTube would beat me with a spoon over, go ahead check that out. If you want to come hang out or chat or tell me I'm a fucking retard, go ahead and give the Discord server a look. And finally, if you think the content is worth it, go ahead and give the Patreon a look. You know, patron subscriptions will encourage me to continue doing this. Maybe so I don't have to get a second job. Don't know. And, you know, it'll just help me improve the quality as well. Anything that goes into the Patreon will go back into the YouTube videos in some way, shape, or form. Also, once I finally get one patron subscriber, I will finally remove the annoying as shit Discord notifications. Marketing. So yeah. Also, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a like. If you want to see more of my videos, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to annoy your friends with my amazing voice or my squeaky chair, go ahead and share it. All right, back to the video. All right, welcome back. And today Ooh, boy, this is gonna be one hell of a video. Got a lot to cover in this one. Where to start, I guess. I was initially going to just do like a video on stop killing games, but that has since just become such a big thing that I'm gonna be covering all of it in one video. And long story short, yeah, the internet has just kind of imploded. So for a bit of context here, a Australian feminist group that what were they called again? An Australian feminist group called Collective Shout started harassing some payment processors to force Steam and itch.io and the likes to remove NSFW games, and that eventually turned into them also removing horror games and the likes. And to some extent, I've heard that it's also caused the removal of some games that people already owned, like they can't play it anymore. Meanwhile, we have the Stops Killing Games initiative that almost got killed by Pirate Soft, but that somehow managed to turn it into just complete 180, and it got extremely massive to the point where it got into the EU's official, they were officially looking at it and all that good shit. And this resulted in a group of large gaming companies banding together to try and lobby against it, and now they're pushing some propaganda against Stop Killing Games, trying to say that it was done illegally with a really stupid argument that doesn't actually work. Meanwhile, the internet is blowing up over, you know, the whole Steam thing, and then Australia passes a bill that basically sets it up so that you need to verify with ID to enter websites to stop kids from getting on the internet. At the same time, the EU, or Britain, I mean specifically Britain, not the EU, but Britain at around the same time passes a law that does the same thing. They've already put together a police task force to enforce that, and at the same time the US has introduced a bill that would do the same thing, though it has not passed. And also the US is looking at voting on a law that would make the payment processors telling people what they can and can't sell illegal. Oh my God, this is a mess, and it is all happening at the same time. Where do I even start with this? I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna go into some conspiracy theory territory here because there's too many coincidences going on at once for me to, in my right mind, say, yeah, this is all just one big coinky dink and bad timing. This almost seems coordinated. So let me put together a timeline. You get the Stop Killing Games initiative that wants companies to set up their live service games so that there is some way to keep playing them after
after they cut support for the game. Fair enough, I support that. Then you get this kind of becomes a thing. It gets brought to Pirate Software's attention. The guy is an ex-Blizzard dude that has apparently lied a lot about his resume. He decides he hates this thing so much that he's going to try and kill it. This almost works, but this gets it enough popularity that it basically succeeds at getting enough signatures to go to the EU to be looked at for being turned into an official law. This kind of, this screws over Pirate Soft, but that's kind of beside the point. So you have this is going to EU. This could pass as an actual law. A bunch of large corporations freak out. A bunch of large gaming companies freak out. They band together, form a lobbying group to try and shoot this thing down. Around a little bit before all of this, I want to say, you have the Australian bill introduced that would make it illegal for anybody under the age of 16 to go on the internet. However, the problem with this is that it is enforced through ID verification, which really makes it suspicious. Anyways, so you start getting... So that starts going on, and that gets a few eyes, but it's only in Australia, really. Then you get the Australian feminist group Collective Action they start harassing Steam and itch.io to remove adult content. And then this, again, eventually expands into horror games as well. This starts a big shit show. As that's going on, the Australian bill passes. Britain introduces and passes their own similar bill around the same time, and again, the US around the same time introduces a bill that would do the same thing here. This sounds an awful lot, like I said, I'm going into conspiracy theory territory, but this sounds an awful lot like a coordinated attack. Little rule of thumb here, if the US, the EU, or Britain and any other Western country all introduce an almost identical bill at the same time, that's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. Like, you can argue... Okay, so the saying is, once is just happenstance, twice is good luck, quote-unquote, or twice is a coincidence, three is a pattern. Three nations, two of them almost at the exact same time, introduced these similar policies, and this is all going along around Stop Killing Games. I think I've established pretty well by bringing this up in a few other of my videos. I believe that there is obviously globalism is a thing. There is no denying that. But I believe that there is definitely some social engineering being done by globalists to push towards a specific agenda. The World Economic Forum is the best evidence of this. I think that especially with the Stop Killing Games thing, that kind of, the internet got too rowdy for them. Over the past 4 years up to the election last year, the internet was probably the biggest weapon against globalist agendas. It shut that shit down so much. If it wasn't for both political parties refer to the 2024 US election as the podcast election. People were going to sources on the internet, independent sources, and that shot a lot of globalist agendas in the foot. I think this really pissed off some people. And so they started working towards some things. But I think Stop Killing Games really is what got them to kick into gear the way they have. Stop Killing Games was kind of a final straw thing, because if they got what they wanted, this would be a huge pro-consumer thing. Globalism is not very big on pro-consumer. Globalism is where the idea of you will own nothing and be happy comes from. Well, if these companies are forced to do things that favor the customer because they bought it, well, the customer owns it, which is implying that they do own it and they are not happy with not owning it. I think that this was kind of a final straw for these people that's like, broke the camel's back. They had to kick into high gear. And so through some level of coordination, I'm not saying they all got together in a room. I don't know, maybe the corporates did. But I think what it is just, well, we see this with liberals all the time. We see this with the far left all the time, like with Antifa. They don't coordinate. They just know how to interact. They know how to react to each other and when. They're very good at figuring out how they need to react to what and when. So I think when Stop Killing Games got a little too close to passing, again, the corporations started lobbying for their shit. Now this is where I think there could be some let's get together and plan out an evil scheme. Corporations and globalists, they tend to work together a lot. A lot of times CEOs are globalists. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sat down together and went, all right, we need to start pushing for policy that'll go against this, and then pulled the strings and made the connection, got in contact with the connections they needed to get in contact with to make that work. There is another factor to this. As I mentioned, there is a law that has been introduced to vote to Congress in the U.S. that would specifically outlaw payment processors from being able to tell platforms what they can and cannot sell. The bill was first introduced in January, but it's going to be going up to vote soon, to my understanding. That's coming up in the middle of all this. And I think this got these people really kicking in high gear, like, we got to shut this shit up. The feminist group, Collective Action, probably just took opportunity of this to start pushing these payment processors, which are all US-based, mind you, so they probably want to get ahead of this law, to start enforcing their bullshit. This is what leads to the Steam and the itch.io thing. They do that. They do that. The people who are affected by, the internet bullshit, they start pushing these bills in basically the entirety of the West to monitor and control who goes where on the internet, because that's the thing. Nellup is Australian, and he had told me that after this bill banning 16-year-olds with the ID verification thing, or people under 16, I should say, got passed, it ended up getting called to Parliament. It got called, basically, they had an emergency meeting over it because somebody was like, hey, yo, this doesn't look like it's protecting kids. This looks like a surveillance bill. And that's the key there. These are surveillance policies, not child protection policies. These are things that require websites to ask for ID so they know exactly who you are, exactly where you live, and exactly what websites you're going to. This can be used to control you. Like I said, Britain, when they passed their law, they had already set up a task force, a police task force, to go and enforce this law. Do you think they're going and arresting kids? No, they're going and finding people who visit unfavorable websites. And this is where shit gets really bad. YouTube is implementing ID verification already to comply with the British law, and it sounds like they are intending to bring that stateside regardless of whether or not we pass the similar bill. They're going to bring it over here regardless. And you bet your bottom dollar a lot of websites are going to do that. And if, let's say, that bill doesn't pass in the US and a lot of websites don't comply with the Australian and the British law, well, people in these areas are going to be completely cut off. I have a feeling that Rumble is going to very soon become a US-only website, for example. Also, it sounds like they're trying to get rid of VPNs, too. It sounds like, at least in the US, they're bringing up the possibility of banning VPNs, so you're stuck with this shit anyways. This is all happening at once. This is a coordinated attack. We're past 3 times. We're past 3 coincidences. We're at like 5 or 6. This is a coordinated attack that is being done to break and destroy what is the last bastion of true free speech. The internet provides you with true anonymity to the point where you can disguise where you live and you can say whatever the fuck you want, wherever the fuck you want. And it's nigh impossible to stop you. This is a coordinated attack on this. This is globalists. This is corrupt politicians. This is companies and activist groups coming to the realization that they did not have the grip on society they thought they did, and the reason being the internet. And so now they're trying to crack down on the internet and get that under control. They want to shut you up, they want to track you, and they want to make sure they can punish you for saying the wrong thing. They want to know exactly who you are, where you are, and how you're doing this, and they want to control what you can buy. I'm a Christian. I am not exactly a fan of adult video games, but I do actually like horror games. And the thing is, yeah, I might not personally like those games, and I might personally have a moral reason to be against those games being available for purchase, but you know the difference between me and fucking MasterCard and Visa? I'm not going to go tell somebody what they can use their money on. As long as it's legal, they can buy whatever the fuck they want. The second that you start controlling somebody else's money, there's a big fucking problem. The US government, like I think Congress, they had actually, they had done their homework. This was a while ago, I believe, but they had looked into these payment processors. Visa, MasterCard, all this shit. And the official statement from the United States government is that these payment processor companies provide no value. They are valueless companies. They do not provide a valuable service, yet they own a monopoly on your money. They have a monopoly on your money. And so they implement extra fees on you and sellers. They force sellers to meet their demands and all that shit because they control your money. These people think they should get to tell you what to do with your money. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Literally nothing. Not even your own money. You don't even get to make your own financial decisions without the approval of fucking MasterCard. And that's the thing. Like I said, this is all about control and surveillance. This isn't about protecting kids. This isn't about anything moral. This is about a group of people wanting to control your assets and control you as an asset. They don't want you buying things they don't like. They don't want you going places that they don't like. They don't want you saying things that they don't agree with. And that's what this is, and this needs to be fought against. This is seriously bad. Like this is if this shit doesn't get shut down immediately, we're fucked. It is that level of bad. If we don't stop it immediately, we are fucked. It's a big thing. This is a big thing. I am very passionate about this because I am a serious free speech advocate. I am a gamer, obviously. I like my video games a lot. Half the reason I have a different game in each video is because I like to... Number one, it lets me show all the games I like to play, and it gives me an excuse to play all these different games that I've had and haven't touched for so long. So this is very big shit for me. I'm very passionate about this. With something this big, when it comes to all the other problems I brought up, I know this is kind of an everywhere video. I apologize. There's so much going on with this situation that it's kind of hard to fully structure properly. So to just boil this down one more time, payment processors being forced by a feminist group, and I really don't think they're as forced as they claim to be, are trying to control what you can and cannot buy and what people can and cannot sell. I think they are in cahoots with certain politicians and certain corporations that want to be able to spy on and track you for similar reasons. They don't want you saying or buying and selling things that they don't approve of. So at the same time, a coordinated attack, they attack your ability to purchase things that they don't like. They then try to hyper attack your ability to do and say what you want on the internet. And again, around the same time, Your ability to own the things you purchase is under attack. All at once. This is this screams coordination to me. This screams tactics to me. This really, to me, seems like the internet got too rowdy. The internet really showed that it was not under control, and it freaked some people out, and they decided they had to do something, and we're seeing them try to do something, and we need to stop it. And with something this big, this coordinated, there's only one real solution.
Ladies and gentlemen, as of today, we are now at war.
At this point, the only solution is total escalation. This shit's been going on under our parents' noses and our grandparents' noses for far too fucking long. These companies and these politicians have become too powerful, and at this point, there is no peaceful solution. Complete escalation is the only way to stop this. Harass your congressmen if you're in the U.S. Harass your representatives in whatever country you are to back down on this shit and not support it and to shut it down. Harass these cardholder companies, these payment processors. Spam their fucking phones. Make sure that they know damn good and well that you mean business. Completely cut these things out of your life. Cancel your credit cards. Pay with shit with cash if you have to. Hell, you should be technically doing that anyways. Harass these video game companies. Go after them. Full-blown escalation. We are at no fucks ballistic mode. That is the only solution. This is a fucking war on your rights. This is a war against your ability to use your own money and to use your own words and to have an opinion and to be able to share it and all of that shit. They are attacking your free speech. They are attacking your property. You need to fight back. There is no peaceful solution to this. These companies need to either go under or bend the fucking knee. Especially with these payment processors, they have monopolies. With these politicians, they don't have any real competition. They'll just work with the other side. They need to be on the streets starving in order to solve this problem, and that's what we gotta do. Put these people out of a job, put these people through hell. They're either gonna bend over and take whatever the fuck we tell them to, or they're gonna be at a goddamn homeless shelter or outside of a fucking food pantry waiting for scraps.
Ladies and gentlemen, as of today, we are now at war.